I returned to my home country with millions in assets and attended the baby shower of an old classmate's child. To my surprise, the woman holding and nursing the baby was my wife, Luna, whom I had been married to for 5 years. Our old classmate, Alex, asked her, "What will happen if he finds out?" Luna responded, "So what if he finds out? He can't live without me." A bitter feeling welled up in my chest as I dialed my partner's number. "Earlier, you mentioned the idea of me staying abroad as a partner. I've decided to agree to it." Chapter 1. That's great. With you joining the firm, we'll definitely be able to take things to the next level. I'll arrange everything, and in 3 days, we'll head abroad together. My partner's excited voice echoed in my ear, and I couldn't help but smile slightly, infected by his enthusiasm. Just then, the front door opened. Luna, in a loose maternity outfit, stared at me in surprise, and the baby items she was holding fell to the floor. "Why did you suddenly come back?" she asked, flustered, as she scrambled to pick things up. Avoiding my gaze, I remained silent, watching her quietly. A year ago, when I was assigned to work abroad, Luna, still under my care after 4 years of marriage, was as radiant as a young girl. Now, she looked tired, her figure so swollen that even the loose clothes couldn't hide it. I felt sorry for her, but she seemed to be willingly degrading herself. Maybe what I gave her was never what she truly wanted. Seeing that I didn't speak, she seemed to finally remember what day it was. "Did you come back to celebrate our anniversary? You should have told me in advance." She actually began to complain to me. Seeing that I still didn't respond, she glanced at the dining table, then at my empty hands. Her face changed instantly. "If we're celebrating, why didn't you cook? Where's my gift?" In the 5 years since our marriage, I had always treated her as my precious. Every holiday was an excuse for me to pamper her. I would prepare a lavish meal in advance and get her the gift she wanted the most, to win her favor. But today, I didn't need to do that. Her happy face, holding the child at the banquet, kept flashing through my mind. "I'm too tired today. Don't feel like moving." I gave a perfunctory reply. The next moment, she actually threw her bag in anger. With a loud thud, it hit the ground. "William, after a whole year apart, this is how you treat me," she yelled at me, forgetting entirely how she had treated me. Had this been in the past, I would have started a hysterical interrogation about what was going on with the child. But everything that happened today made me lose the desire to ask. The love I had for her shattered into pieces the moment I saw the child. I no longer had any expectations for her. I stood up and stared at her coldly. "What? Weren't you full at the banquet?" She froze for a moment. After a while, she said, "You know I went to Alex's baby shower, right? Alex, our old classmate from college." Of course, I remembered. He was her ex, but they had only dated for 3 months before he broke up with her. When she told me about this past, she had mocked him disdainfully. I was so blind back then. Getting involved with Alex. Now he's begging me, but I wouldn't look at him even if he were on his knees. I believed her words, but in the end, it turned out I was the blind one. Perhaps feeling guilty, she used the excuse of going to the bathroom to escape. As soon as I heard the water running in the bathroom, I opened my phone and saw a new post from Alex. In the photo, he was holding a 1-month-old baby, his face full of happiness. The caption read, "Thank you for fulfilling my mother's last wish, completing my life." A sharp pain tore through my heart. What a perfect life. But what about my mom and me? For 4 years after our marriage, I had wanted a child, but Luna always pouted and said she wasn't ready. Then, a year ago, my mother passed away in a car accident. Her last words were, "My son, the greatest regret of my life is that I didn't live to see you have a child. I'm sorry, I've let you down. Mom, I'm sorry, I failed you. I was blind and chose the wrong person. I let you die with this regret." As I was lost in those memories, Luna came out of the bathroom. Seeing my red eyes, she rushed into my arms. Chapter 2. "I'm sorry, darling. I shouldn't have spoken to you like that just now." She still had that familiar scent of jasmine shower gel. I used to love the smell of her skin after a shower. Every time she finished bathing, I would hold her for a long time. But now, it made me feel nauseous, like I might throw up. I reached out and pushed her away. "No need." Her expression stiffened, and she seemed to want to explode but held it in. "You haven't eaten dinner yet, right? Let me cook some noodles for you." This was probably the first time she had ever actively offered to cook for me, but I didn't feel happy at all. Just as I was about to refuse, she had already walked into the kitchen and started getting busy, her long hair cascading over her shoulders. The warm scene used to be what I dreamed of. Suddenly, her phone, which had been placed on the shoe cabinet, rang. I turned my head unintentionally and caught a glimpse of the incoming call. My heart felt like it was stabbed again. The caller ID showed, "Husband," but I was clearly sitting right behind her. She rushed out of the kitchen and answered the phone right in front of me. "Hello, Alex. Don't worry, I'll be right over." She hung up, and while putting on her shoes, she didn't even glance at me. Honey, Alex's baby seems to be sick and won't stop crying. He's a man, so he doesn't know what to do. I'm going over to check on him. She added, Alex's wife died during childbirth, and he couldn't handle it, so he asked me for help. Don't misunderstand. I almost laughed in anger. To lie to me. She even cursed herself. You can go. I interrupted her explanation in a calm tone. She gave me a surprised look, but in the end, she still chose to rush off to Alex. She didn't come back for a long time. After I finished washing up and lay down, I saw that Alex had updated his social media again. The photo showed a bowl of half-eaten noodles, with Luna in the background, breastfeeding the baby. It was a live video. The sound left on. I heard Alex ask, "Can you stay the night?" Luna's answer was immediate. Sure, I'll find a way to explain it to him. I turned my head to look at the kitchen. The noodles were still in the pot, half-cooked, untouched, just like the marriage I had insisted on for 5 years, abandoned halfway, because the leading lady was now cooking noodles for someone else, soothing a child, and staying over. I liked Alex's post. He deleted it immediately. The next second, Luna's call came through. Honey, the baby has a bit of a fever and needs someone to take care of him. I won't be coming home tonight, but don't misunderstand. I'm just helping Alex out. We have clear boundaries. Clear boundaries. The boundaries for him to have children with her. After so many lies, I didn't even feel a ripple in my heart. Do whatever you want. I'm going to sleep. I hung up the phone and closed my eyes, but memories of my past with Luna flooded my mind. The bright moon once illuminated me, too. Back then, we were college classmates. She was the campus beauty, and I was the campus heartthrob. Everyone said we were a perfect match, but I didn't think much of her at the time because she had so many admirers. It wasn't until a party, when she actively stood up to block someone from forcing drinks on me, her slender figure standing in front of me like an angel, that I started to fall for her. From that day on, I was deeply infatuated, starting a 3-year-long secret crush. When we graduated, rumors spread that she had cheated, and her reputation plummeted. I didn't hesitate to confess my feelings for her, helping to clear her name. She gratefully rushed into my arms, swearing to me, in this lifetime, I will never betray you. After marriage, we were happy. I once thought we would have a perfect ending like in a TV drama, but reality slapped me hard in the face. The next day, Luna still didn't come home. She only sent me a text saying she was still taking care of Alex's child. I didn't reply. The next morning, I heard sounds coming from the kitchen, following the smell of food. I walked out of the bedroom to find Luna, wearing an apron, smiling at me just like in my old dreams. Honey, you're awake. Go wash up and have breakfast. Chapter 3. I used to be lost in the beautiful dreams I had woven for myself, but now, it was time to wake up. I walked to the sofa and sat down, shaking my head at Luna. I don't want to eat. Her face changed, and she was about to snap at me. I spoke up before she could. Let's talk. Talk about what? Luna was confused, still wearing the apron, looking like a perfect wife and mother. But all of this change wasn't because of me. When she sat down, I said flatly, let's talk about your studies this past year. A year ago, when I was sent abroad for work, I accidentally found out she had quit her job. When I asked her over the phone, she stammered and told me, actually, I got into graduate school. I didn't tell you because I was afraid you'd oppose me going back to study. How could I oppose her studying? 3 years of secret love, 5 years of marriage, 8 years in total. I was like her trained dog. She threw a paper ball, and I wagged my tail to fetch it. Not only did I not oppose her, I even sent her 50,000 yuan for her tuition. Now I realize that money was spent as nutrition for her pregnancy. That child was healthy and chubby, and part of it was thanks to me. Why are you suddenly asking about this? Luna's face turned pale, unsure how to cover up the lie. After all, it takes 100 lies to cover up one. Looking at her, I couldn't be bothered to keep questioning her. I directly pulled out the photos I had taken at the baby shower and laid them on the table. How long were you planning to keep lying to me? The room went quiet for a few seconds, and the color drained completely from Luna's face. She jumped up, and her first reaction was to question me. You secretly went to the baby shower a few days ago. Why didn't you tell me? I stared at her. If I told you, would you have enjoyed this little show? She froze for a moment, then became righteous. This isn't betrayal. I was just helping Alex. His mother was really sick a year ago, and her dying wish was to hold her grandchild. You don't understand, he and his mom were so pitiful back then. If you were me, you'd choose to help too. My eyes turned red. They were pitiful. What about my mom and me? My mother passed away with regrets, and she saw everything, but she never wanted to have children with me. Did she really love me? I didn't say I wouldn't have children with you. Your mom just had a short life and didn't make it to that day. My whole body stiffened, and my heart completely died. Up until this point, I had thought Luna was just morally corrupt, but I never realized that she had no heart at all, let alone love for me. I stood up, raised my hand, and slapped her hard across the face. Try insulting my mom again, and see what happens. She covered her face, stunned and incredulous. You dare hit me, William? Have you gone mad? Get down on your knees and apologize now. Otherwise, I'll divorce you immediately. She always thought I couldn't live without her. After all, in the 5 years of our marriage, every time she mentioned divorce, I would cry and beg her, telling her how much I couldn't live without her. But this time, I couldn't kneel. My heart was no longer hers. No need for an otherwise. Let's just get a divorce. Chapter 4. I directly threw the divorce papers in front of Luna. She picked them up, glanced at them, and then threw them back at my chest. William, do you really think you can live better without me? After 5 years of marriage, you're still living in the shabby house your mom left you. Which woman would look at you except for me? I advise you to take back what you just said, before I'm completely disappointed in you. I smiled slightly. She used to say things like that, and it didn't bother me. But now, under my leadership, the firm abroad had already turned a significant profit. The $1 million reward the company promised me had already been transferred to my account. I hadn't said anything beforehand because I wanted to surprise her. Now, I'm glad I kept it a secret, but I'm already completely disappointed in you, I said calmly. She froze for a moment, her face full of disbelief. For 8 years, I had been humble, but suddenly, I wasn't the same anymore. She couldn't dare to believe it, and she didn't want to. She suddenly turned and left. Take some time to cool down. Apologize when you've thought it through. If I hadn't done anything wrong, why would I apologize? I watched her leave without trying to stop her, because I still had a lot to do. I took down all our wedding photos and threw them in the trash. I also discarded every trace of my existence in this house, including the sofa, the TV, and the bed I had bought. Finally, I called the realtor to come take photos and put the house up for sale. Once everything was done, I grabbed my suitcase and headed downstairs. Just as I was about to hail a taxi by the side of the road, I noticed Alex holding the baby. He walked straight towards me. William, you're really going to divorce Luna over a child? Don't misunderstand me. I don't mean anything by it. I just wanted to say, if you're willing to let go, that would be great. After all, Luna will be mine then. He really thought I had no temper. I raised my fist and punched him in the face. He howled in pain and staggered back a step. The baby in his arms was startled and cried loudly. Bastard, how dare you hit me? Without caring, he put the screaming baby back in the car and grabbed my collar. Trying to retaliate, I caught his wrist, but suddenly, a furious shout came from behind. William, stop. Luna, holding a pack of diapers, rushed over. Alex immediately became an actor. As she reached us, he suddenly kneeled in front of me with a loud thud. William, I know I've wronged you. I shouldn't have asked Luna to help me have a child. But no matter what, the child is innocent. How can you hit my child? If you're really angry, I'll disappear with the child forever. His nose was still bleeding, and he was a mess. Luna, her face flushed with anger, threw the diapers at me and kicked my knee. I wasn't ready for it, and the sudden pain made me bend down, clutching my knee. On the day I came back, I had been in such a rush to see her. When I got off the plane, I tripped and fell down the steps, injuring my knee. But she didn't care. She just screamed at me. William, you bastard, what did the child ever do wrong? I was in so much pain that I couldn't even make a sound. Only then did Luna glance down at me, noticing the blood stain soaking through my pants. Her expression changed with panic. William, what's happened to your leg? Before she could finish, Alex's voice called out from behind her. Luna, the baby's not crying anymore. Come quickly and check. Without hesitation, Luna abandoned me again and rushed toward Alex and the child. She picked up the baby, looked at him, and immediately told Alex, let's go to the hospital. As they got into the car, she looked back at me through the window. William, I'll settle this with you when I come back. Once their car was out of sight, I got into a taxi to the airport. At the airport, not long after, I saw Alex had updated his status again. In the photo, his nose was wrapped in bandages, but his smile was smug. The caption read, someone promised to make it up to me by giving me a second child. Finally, I can have a perfect family with both a son and a daughter. The airport announced my flight was boarding. As I walked up the stairs, I sent Alex a message. Hope you have a whole football team. Then, I turned off my phone, threw my SIM card away, and boarded the plane in one smooth motion. Chapter 5. The first thing I did after arriving abroad was buy a house for myself. I had stayed abroad for a whole year, but in order to save money and give Luna a better life, I hadn't rented a place. I had been living in the dormitory arranged by the company, but now, I could finally spend money on myself without hesitation. After buying the house, I went ahead and bought a car too. When I drove to the office, I was warmly welcomed by everyone. They all congratulated me for becoming a partner and reaching the peak of my career. As I looked at my very own partner office, I couldn't help but laugh. They say there are 3 great joys in life: getting promoted, making money, and burying your wife. My wife didn't die, but she might as well have. A fellow partner quietly asked me, "William, I thought you said you were going back to your wife in hometown. Why did you suddenly agree to come abroad?" I responded directly, "She's dead." The partner thought I was joking, but my gaze was firm. He paused for a moment and then patted me on the shoulder. "My condolences. You know, I have a good friend whose daughter is about your age. She's a nice girl. How about I introduce you to?" I shook my head. It wasn't because I still had feelings for Luna. It was simply because my marriage wasn't over yet, and I didn't want to waste this girl's time. The next morning, I called a seasoned divorce lawyer. Upon hearing my situation, he was filled with righteous anger. "Don't worry, you've definitely got the upper hand in this case. After all, there's plenty of evidence of your wife's affair, the man's social circle, the photos you took, these are all proof. I'll file a lawsuit for you and make sure she walks away with nothing. She won't get a penny from you. Just wait for the good news." I had just become a partner and had a lot of work to do, so I entrusted the entire divorce process to the lawyer. Before the lawyer got back to me, I received some good news from a real estate agent in hometown. "Mr. Yi, your property has been viewed by a buyer. He's very satisfied and wants to sign the contract immediately. When would you like to come over to finalize things?" I thought I could handle it remotely, but the agent said, "No, you have to be here in person. This is a contract worth over $1 million, and no one wants to take responsibility if something goes wrong." I reluctantly agreed. "Fine, I'll come over this weekend." Half a month after arriving abroad, I bought a return flight ticket to hometown. This time, however, I wasn't flying in economy class, I had upgraded to business class. As soon as I sat down, I realized how spacious the seats were and how sweet the flight attendant's smiles were. Leaving Luna behind, life could actually be this good. When I landed, I immediately headed to the signing center, but just as I was about to enter, I was shocked by a woman standing at the door, her hair disheveled and her appearance unkempt. It was cold, but she was wearing a thin long dress. Her long hair, which seemed to have been unwashed for days, was greasy and stuck to her face. Only when she rushed toward me did I recognize her. This beggar-like woman was Luna. I was stunned. I had thought that after leaving me, she would smoothly be with Alex and have a second child. Her life should have been better by now, but she marched straight up to me, staring at me in disbelief. "William, it's really you. You're back." I didn't know how to respond, and before I could say anything, she yanked at her neck veins and yelled, "Where have you been these past few weeks? I couldn't find you anywhere. You didn't answer your phone. You didn't reply to my messages. What are you trying to do? Are you done yet?" Her shouting made my ears ring. Just then, the agent came out and saw me, calling out, "Mr. Yi, you're here. Quick, quick, the buyer is waiting for you inside." But Luna suddenly pointed at the agent and yelled at me, "William, this is the guy. He changed the locks on our house. He won't let me back in. He brought people to show the house, trying to sell it behind my back. You have to call the police." Luna seemed to have lost her mind. I pushed her hand off my clothes and spoke calmly. "I changed the locks. I also told him to sell the house." "Luna, have you forgotten? I already told you that I want a divorce. You're free now. You can have as many children with Alex as you want." Chapter 6. The scene was quiet, and I was sure Luna had heard what I said. I was also certain that in the past week, my divorce lawyer had already been in touch with her, but I didn't understand why she was pretending not to know. I didn't care to say more, so I signaled the agent to get ready to go inside and sign the contract. At that moment, Luna blocked my path. She shakily raised her hand, showing me the wedding ring I had given her 5 years ago when I proposed. The diamond was small. Back then, I was poor, but I had sworn to her, "When I make money, I'll buy you a diamond 10 or 100 times bigger than this. I'll make sure you never have to live in hardship." With tears in her eyes, she pointed to the ring and said, "Husband, don't you remember? When you put this ring on my finger, you promised you'd always treat me well. I've never taken it off." I turned my face away. I've forgotten. In fact, on the day I returned to hometown for a baby shower, I brought back $1 million pink diamond, intending to give it to her, but she betrayed me. "William, how could you do this to me? There were so many guys who liked me back in school. I chose you, someone who had nothing. Now, you've wasted 5 years of my youth, and you're throwing me away. I won't agree to this." So, it wasn't about her disagreement. It was about her unwillingness to let go, because I had demanded she leave with nothing. I smiled. "If you won't divorce, we'll go to court. I can drag this on, but what about you? Alex is waiting for you to go home. The child needs you too. How long can you drag this out?" I expected Luna to be furious and hit me, so I even took a step back, but to my surprise, Luna stood there quietly, tears streaming down her face. dropping in large droplets. William, I swear, there's nothing between Alex and me. I was about to interrupt her lies when she pulled out a crumpled document. There's no intimacy between us. The child was conceived through IVF. How could I betray you? She looked at me with tear-filled eyes, pitiful beyond words. For a moment, I saw the girl from the past, the one who would cry as soon as she was upset, standing in front of me. Back then, whenever she cried, I wanted nothing more than to give her my heart. But now, seeing her like this, I felt no sympathy at all. Whether the child was conceived naturally or through IVF doesn't matter anymore. I'm divorcing you. Just as I was about to leave, Luna started crying hysterically. Suddenly, I heard Alex's voice from behind. William, you're a real bastard. You have no sympathy for her. Even if you want a divorce, you shouldn't leave Luna with nothing. She's been with you for 5 years. She may not have achieved anything, but she's endured a lot for you. I didn't know whether to laugh or not. For these 5 years, I had been supporting Luna. I hadn't given her a life of luxury, but I'd never treated her unfairly. I turned to Alex and asked, she's had a child for you, and what have you given her in return? Alex's face stiffened, and he was at a loss for words. I sneered. Alex cursed at me from behind. I've always told Luna not to get involved with someone like you, a so-called phoenixman. When it comes to divorce, you'd want to strip a woman bare. Don't worry, I'll take care of Luna from now on and give her the best life. You poor bastard can just wait. I didn't look back as I walked into the signing center. After selling the house, $1.5 million was directly transferred to my account. My return flight was tomorrow. I went to the hotel and dropped off my luggage. Just as I settled in, Luna actually called me. William, please save me. Chapter 7. I had no idea what kind of trick Luna was trying to pull this time. I was on high alert. If you need help, you should be calling the police, I said, but she cried. No, the police can't help me. My child has been diagnosed with congenital heart disease and needs heart bypass surgery. Only you can help me now. I was at a loss for words. Whenever something good happens, I'm not the one she thinks of, but when she needs money, I'm the first person she calls. She never fails to disappoint me. Without hesitation, I rejected her. I don't have the money. She was stunned. William, no matter how much you hate me, the child is innocent. How can you just stand there and watch as the child suffers without treatment? Do you have no compassion? I almost laughed in anger. The child isn't even mine. Why should I feel compassionate? Besides, just recently, Alex had been cursing me out as a poor phoenixman, claiming he would take care of Luna. I asked her, you're not calling the child's father, you're calling me. Are you out of your mind? Luna stammered. He can't come up with that much money. What he said before was just to put on a front. This time, I really laughed, but that laugh quickly faded. Alex has nothing, and she was willing to have his child. Yet I had given her everything, and she wouldn't love me in return. Before I could speak, Luna said again, you just sold the house and got a large sum of money, didn't you? Please, lend me $500,000. With my current financial standing, $500,000 wasn't a problem, but if that money was going to save Alex's child, that was a different matter. I didn't have a saintly heart. I would love to punch Alex again. I blurted out, why should I? You don't really think I still love you, do you? There was silence on the other end of the line. It was as if Luna had died. After a long pause, she spoke, her voice cracking with tears. I don't dare hope, but if you lend me this money, I'll agree to divorce you. Is that okay? She was so humble that it was as if she had fallen into the dirt, but I felt no pleasure, only relief. I agreed immediately. Fine, I'll give it to you, as long as it meant cutting ties with her. I would spend $50,000, $500,000, whatever it took. I took the bank card and went to the hospital. Luna was leaning against the wall, covering her face and crying. I pretended not to see her, simply handing her the card and pulling out a piece of paper and a pen. Words aren't enough. Write me a promissory note to prove that this $50,000 is buying out our marriage. $50,000, buying out a marriage. When I said that, her tears flowed like a faucet. I had done my final duty, and now, I gave her a warning. Don't rely on men to live. Get a job. You can't count on someone like Alex. As soon as the words left my mouth, Alex suddenly charged at me. When his fist came at me, I caught it with my hand and then kicked him hard in the knee. Just like the day Luna had hit me for him. Alex screamed in pain, clutching his knee and collapsing to the ground. To my surprise, Luna didn't rush to help him. Alex, furious, yelled, William, you poor bastard, stop pretending. You only got some money from selling your house, and now you think you're a savior. And his voice cut off abruptly. I pulled out my phone and showed him my bank account balance. There were so many zeros at the end of the number that I hadn't even bothered to count them myself. Sure, I'm not as great as you. I'm just a partner now, making over $10 million a year from dividends. The place fell into dead silence. I took the signed promissory note from Luna and left. Luna. 9 a.m. tomorrow. At the Civil Affairs Bureau. The next morning, I waited for a long time, but Luna didn't show up. When I tried calling her, her phone was unreachable. Just when I was about to call the police, they found me first. Hello, are you William, Luna's husband? Chapter 8. I didn't confirm or deny anything. I just asked, has something happened to her? I had many scenarios running through my mind, but never the one the police described. She's on the overpass and threatening to jump into the sea. She's been there for over an hour now, and we can't convince her to come down. We need you to come with us to the scene. I got into the police car. At that point, I still didn't realize how serious the situation was. It wasn't until I started receiving messages from some old classmates that I understood the magnitude of what was happening. William, you're trending. Damn, I never thought you'd be this kind of guy. Luna was our campus goddess. How could you treat her like this? I opened the class group chat and was immediately shocked by the flurry of messages. Everyone was talking about my divorce with Luna, but the story they were telling was completely different from the truth. In this version, I was a heartless villain. I hadn't gone abroad to give Luna a better life. I had gone to keep other women there. I had brought back over 10 million, but the first thing I did was ask Luna for a divorce. When she refused, I secretly sold the house and fled abroad by myself. Now, Luna's child was seriously ill in the hospital, and I was allegedly threatening her to sign divorce papers before I would give her money for the treatment. That was why Luna had apparently been pushed to the edge and tried to take her life. The reason people were so sure of this version of events was because Alex had sent out screenshots of their conversations, where he solemnly swore with his honor that everything was true. I couldn't help but laugh at the audacity of those two. The police probably thought I had lost my mind. When we reached the overpass, Luna was standing outside the guardrail, looking ready to fall. There were countless media and onlookers around her, all trying to talk her down. Miss, there are plenty of other men out there. You can find someone better. I couldn't help but nod. Right, there's more than one man in the world. She doesn't need to leech off of me. At that moment, the police called out to Luna. Miss, your husband is here. Luna whipped around, and I could see the tears in her eyes. As soon as the crowd recognized me, they went wild, pointing at me and shouting. I used to be that simp, but I wasn't a fool. This wasn't just about my reputation anymore. It was about my future. I immediately pulled out all the evidence I had gathered on Luna's infidelity. In this marriage, I'm the victim. Please, get it straight. When the evidence was laid out, the crowd fell silent. But soon, some voices started to speak up. With AI technology being so advanced nowadays, who knows if these photos and videos are fake? Exactly. If she really cheated, why would she refuse a divorce? She's about to jump off a bridge. You heartless bastard. The crowd became more agitated, and the police tried to intervene. But once one person started, the mob followed. Everyone rushed towards me, punching and kicking. I wanted to explain, but no one would listen. I was curled up on the ground, covered in bruises and blood. Just as I was about to give up, I heard Luna's voice behind me. Stop, stop. William is telling the truth. I'm the one who wronged him. It was me who cheated on him and had a child with another man. I was the one who made the mistake. William, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. With her confession, my innocence was finally cleared. The crowd immediately scattered. I stood up, wiping the blood from my mouth and looked at Luna. I'm tired of hearing you say sorry. I have no demands from you. I won't even ask you to pay back the money. I just want you to keep your promise from yesterday and go with me to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the divorce. As soon as I finished speaking, there was a loud splash. A massive wave of water erupted from the surface. Luna had jumped off the bridge. Chapter 9. The police immediately launched a rescue operation at the scene. The river was rushing with swift currents. Luna surfaced a couple of times, then quickly disappeared beneath the water. Seeing this, I didn't hesitate. I stripped off my clothes and jumped straight in. Thanks to my long-time habit of swimming and keeping fit, diving wasn't a problem for me. I quickly found Luna underwater and pulled her onto the shore. Her face was pale, and only after some emergency treatment did her eyes slowly open. The moment she saw me, a spark of light appeared in her eyes. William, I knew you still. I pushed her hand away when she reached for me. No, I just wanted to make sure you signed the divorce papers before you died. Being divorced is luckier than being widowed. The crowd erupted in laughter. Luna's face turned ashen. I grabbed my jacket and walked off with a nonchalant air as the crowd cheered. The next morning, I finally saw Luna, staggering toward me. Her face was even paler than yesterday, like something terrible had happened, but I didn't ask. Come on, let's get this over with. Sign the papers. She hesitated but didn't speak. When I got the divorce certificate, a huge weight was lifted from my heart. On that sunny morning, Luna called out to me, William, if there's a next life, I'll never disappoint you again. She screamed it with all her might, but I remained unmoved. Her dramatic actions had already gone viral the day before. and the scandal about her having a child with Alex was spreading everywhere. The label of scumbag was finally removed from me. Meanwhile, Luna and Alex became public enemies, the most hated people in the city. I took the divorce certificate and returned abroad. I thought I would never hear from Luna again. But 3 months later, an email arrived in my inbox. It was scheduled to be sent by Luna. In the email, she revealed something that sent a chill down my spine. It turned out that on the day she and I went to finalize the divorce, their child had died in the rental apartment. I was shocked. I had given her the money, but the rest of the email exposed the truth. The $50,000 I gave her had been taken by Alex, who claimed he would use it for the medical bills, but instead, behind Luna's back, Alex had canceled the surgery and sent the fragile baby back to the rental apartment, letting the child die slowly. By the time Luna found out, it was too late. She hadn't told me right away because she wanted to end everything before letting me know. Ending everything meant that she had waited for 3 days at the airport to catch Alex, who was planning to go abroad. She took out the concentrated sulfuric acid she had prepared in advance and poured it all over Alex. Alex's face was disfigured, and his lower body was completely destroyed. He didn't die, but his suffering was unbearable. Even basic bodily functions became difficult for him. And Luna, in that moment, as Alex screamed in agony, drank the sulfuric acid herself. In the final line of the email, she wrote, "William, I wish there were a next life." I deleted the email and permanently blocked her account. "Luna, you once illuminated my life, but in the end, you were never my moon. May we never meet again in the next life. I will be my own moonlight." It was in the 7th year of being with Mary that I finally learned she had an unforgettable first love she had been infatuated with for years. And on the day I was diagnosed with stomach cancer, her unforgettable first love returned to the country. When I went to the hospital alone for chemotherapy, I saw her and that man walking out of the obstetrics and gynecology department. I finally made up my mind to ask for a divorce and set her free. But her eyes reddened, and she said she would abort the child and return to the family. But I was tired, and I also felt disgusted. Chapter 1. This morning, while tidying up the house, I felt a sharp pain in my stomach. The pain was so intense that I doubled over, drenched in cold sweat. I wanted to ask my wife, Mary, for help, but she just poured me a cup of hot water, placed it in front of me, and then told me she was going out shopping with her girlfriends. I was in so much pain that I couldn't speak. I just watched her, looking radiant and beautiful with her makeup on, wearing a tight, hip-hugging skirt, her eyes exuding charm. She seemed unusually happy today. The excitement in her eyes was something I had never seen before. I didn't have the heart to interrupt her, and she didn't notice how severe my condition was. The door closed with a soft click, and I collapsed onto the floor, clutching the table for support. Suddenly, my stomach churned violently, and a metallic taste rose in my throat. The white and gray tiles were soon covered with bright red blood. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. This was the only thing I could do to save myself. When I arrived at the hospital, the doctors conducted a full examination of my body and finally gave me a conclusion. It was that I was already in the late stages of stomach cancer. The doctor said I needed to start treatment as soon as possible, which might prolong my life. Otherwise, I might only have a few months left. I held the diagnosis in my hand, sitting in the hospital corridor, feeling a deep sadness. I wanted to call Mary. I desperately wanted to hear her voice, but the line was busy, and all I heard was the persistent beep of a busy signal. I scrolled through my phone and messaged her on WeChat, asking what she was doing, but there was no response. I felt like someone abandoned by the whole world, alone, leaning against the cold walls of the hospital. My phone's notification sound brought a glimmer of hope, but when I opened it, it was just a message from a colleague. My hope shattered again as I realized it was a video. The video was taken at the East Suburb Airport, showing a man and a woman tightly embracing each other. A banner on the side revealed the man's identity. It was William, an accomplished pianist returning from abroad, and the woman was my wife, Mary. I stared at the man's face, lost in my memories. This morning, while cleaning the study, I found a photo of a man inside a book. The man in the photo was William, and on the back was a line of delicate handwriting that read, "My unforgettable first love." It was Mary's handwriting. I couldn't mistake it, but before I could confront her about it, this misfortune befell me. My colleague sent me a voice message, sounding worried. "Boss, is that your wife? Please don't get mad. Talk it over with her when you get home. If there's a misunderstanding, I don't want to be the one to blame. I'm your brother. I couldn't keep it from you. I'd feel guilty if I did." I thanked him and told him I would handle it properly and that he didn't need to worry. Although I said that, my heart was heavy with sorrow. Chapter 2. Mary's call finally came through, and she sounded like she was having a great time. "Honey, what's up? I was watching a movie earlier. Didn't see your message." In the background, I could faintly hear the soothing melody of a piano. I really wanted to know if that person playing was William. "Nothing. Just wanted to ask who you went out with today. I happened to have a day off and thought I could spend it with you." Mary hesitated for a moment, her words faltering. "Who else? Just Lara. It's just us two girls, so it's probably best if you don't join. Maybe another day." I responded with a quiet, and hung up the phone. I didn't want to be suspicious of my partner, but that video and the photo made it impossible to suppress my emotions. I found Lara's name in my WeChat contacts, opened her chat, and sent a message. "Chishi Festival is coming up in a few days. I want to buy Mary a gift and was hoping you could help me pick something. Why don't you just ask Mary directly, or I can teach you how to subtly find out what she wants." Mary is sleeping now. She's been feeling a bit unwell lately, and I didn't want to disturb her. After sending that message, I felt my hands grow more restless, nervously clasping together. I hoped she would confirm that Mary was out shopping with her, but sadly, that wasn't the case. I really envy Mary. "I've been so busy with work trips these past few days. I won't be back for over a month. I'll visit her when I return." I didn't know how to respond, my mind in chaos. She had, after all, used a lie to cover up the truth, but deep down, I still clung to a sliver of hope, wishing she would explain it to me, that maybe I had truly misunderstood her. Mary and I met 7 years ago during a scorching summer. My career had just started to take off when I received news of my mother's passing. My parents had divorced early, and my mother had raised me on her own. That period was undoubtedly the darkest time of my life. I bought a cup of coffee and sat on a park bench, surrounded by the hustle and bustle of the crowd, yet feeling incredibly lonely. Mary was handing out flyers under the blazing sun. She noticed my low spirits and came over to talk to me. She was like a little sprite of joy, constantly trying to cheer me up. She told me she was also an orphan, never having known the love of parents. She had once had an older brother who was her only family, but he had left her to go abroad. Two lonely souls found solace in each other, and my heart began to fill with warmth. After that, I often went to take care of her, and over time, I realized I had fallen in love with her. Confession, proposal, marriage. She accepted quickly, and everything went so smoothly that I thought I had found the love of my life. But now, in hindsight, I realized that William might be the brother she had mentioned, but he wasn't the kind of brother I had imagined. He was her obsession, her unforgettable first love, the person she truly wanted to spend her life with. A bitter ache welled up inside me, and a searing pain flared in my stomach. I rushed to the bathroom, violently retching. Blood mixed with the water as it splashed into the white sink. Staring at my disheveled reflection in the mirror, a wave of despair washed over me. In the end, I was all alone. Chapter 3. After picking up my medication from the pharmacy, I returned home and continued cleaning up the mess that was scattered all over the floor. It was already 8 p.m., and Mary still hadn't come home. Feeling worried, I called her, wanting to ask where she was. "Ethan, Lara just went through a breakup and is feeling down. I'm going to stay with her for a few days. Make sure you take good care of yourself at home." There was a slight breathlessness in her voice. When I asked her why, she said they had just been doing some cardio exercises. How ridiculous. Lara was on a business trip at the moment. What could Mary possibly be doing? I didn't even want to imagine. And this time, she called me by my name. Ever since we got married, she seemed to want to reassure me by always calling me honey, never by my name. Was she hiding something today? I thought Lara was still on her business trip. I didn't realize she was back. Oh, she just got home after the trip. That's when the breakup happened. All right, you take care of yourself too. The pain, mixed with bitterness, spread throughout my entire heart. My stomach began to cramp again. I swallowed a handful of pills, curled up on the bed, trying to ease my suffering, but the endless darkness and loneliness wrapped around me, veins bulging across my body, and once again, I was completely alone. I didn't sleep the entire night. I thought about a lot of things: quit my job, start treatment, and confront Mary to get to the bottom of this. I couldn't let myself be consumed by suspicion any longer. When I got to the office, my colleagues were all talking about the pianist who had just returned to the country and was planning to hold a concert at the end of the month. William's name suddenly reached my ears, and I realized just how famous he was. "Mr. Liu, are you taking your wife to the concert? I remember she loves piano music." My breath caught in my throat, and I couldn't help but let my mind wander. "I'll look into it later. I still need to ask her what she thinks." A young female colleague couldn't help but sigh. "Mr. Liu and his wife have such a good relationship." I also heard that William stayed abroad for 7 years and has now returned, bravely pursuing love. They say that on the day he returned, someone saw him passionately embracing his lover. Oh, I'm so envious. When will I have a boyfriend like that? Or even someone like Mr. Liu? The colleague who sent me the video, Shaoli, seemed to sense something and quickly looked up at me. Seeing my unusual expression, he hurried to assign work to the girl, steering the conversation away with a smile. "Boss, your wife would never betray you. You have to stay strong. We all need you to lead us," he whispered in my ear, trying to comfort me. I might need to take some time off. You'll have to lead the team while I'm gone. Shaoli gave me a hearty pat on the shoulder, his carefree attitude making him the one I trusted the most. Boss, don't talk like that, making it sound like you won't come back. I know you have important things to take care of at home. We'll be waiting for your return. I wanted to say something but stopped, finally just nodding silently. I asked the higher-ups to keep my resignation a secret or only tell them after I was gone. I checked myself into the hospital alone. The doctor seemed surprised to see me by myself. Young man, aren't you married? How can you do this alone? You need someone to take care of you. It's fine. I'll just hire a nurse in a little while. Chapter 4. On the first day of my hospitalization, I contacted Mary and told her I was sick. It was cancer. She laughed and said I was joking with her. Mary, you've been gone for a week now. When are you coming home? Can't you, as a grown man, stop being so caught up in love all the time? I want to have my own life too, but I really don't have much time left. I have cancer. Can you stop using that as a reason to threaten me? Who would believe that? The call abruptly ended, and she seemed a bit angry. The pain from the chemotherapy was truly unbearable. My hair started falling out in clumps, and from time to time, I couldn't help but vomit blood. I survived each day by getting hooked up to various 4 drips, unable to eat anything. For an entire week, Mary didn't call me. I was so tormented by the cancer that I barely had the energy to care about anything else. In a moment of boredom, I flipped through the calendar, only to realize that today was Qixi Festival. There was no need for Lara's help. I had prepared a gift long ago, and it was sitting on the nightstand in our room, but she never noticed it. I couldn't resist calling her, wanting to hear her voice. Mary, today is Qixi Festival. I've already taken the day off. Are you still at Lara's? I can come find you. Mary's voice sounded hurried and a bit impatient. There was noise in the background, probably from some amusement park. Ethan, Lara's feeling down. How could we flaunt our love in front of her? That would just rub salt in her wounds. It's just another Qixi Festival. We can celebrate it next year. With that, she hurriedly hung up, and all I heard was the beeping of the ended call. How could it be the same? I might not live to see next year. These days of treatment had changed my routine as well, because I never knew when I'd get sick. The pain tormented me so much that I couldn't sleep through the night. If I hadn't suddenly remembered to check my phone, I wouldn't even know what day it was. It's already the end of the month. I remembered that young girl mentioning that William would be holding a concert at the end of the month. I took out my phone, something I hadn't done in a while, and started scrolling through entertainment news online. Around 3 p.m., just after finishing my chemotherapy, I saw a trending topic suddenly shoot to the top on Weibo. The hashtag William wins his love hashtag was blazingly bright at the top spot. I clicked on it, and it was a video shot by the media along with related reports. In the video, William was kneeling on one knee, offering Mary a bouquet of pure white roses. Mary, overjoyed and tearful, threw herself into William's arms, and the two were united in love. Who could have imagined that the female lead in the video was a married woman, and that her husband was currently battling a life-threatening illness? Mary called me herself, trying to explain. Ethan, he's the brother I told you about. Everything online is just the media making things up. They misunderstood. I didn't want to think about it anymore. After all, I was dying soon. All right, Mary, I believe you. So, when are you coming home? For a moment, neither of us said anything. Perhaps my voice was too weak, and Mary could sense something. Or maybe she was wondering why I was so willing to believe her. In the end, I'm not sure who touched the screen, but the silent call was disconnected. At that moment, I thought there was nothing left that I couldn't accept, but fate always loves to play tricks on me, and it made me run into Mary at the hospital. Chapter 5. The height of summer had passed, and they say September is a golden autumn. I had been cooped up in the hospital room for too long, so I asked the nurse to accompany me outside for some fresh air. The greenery around the hospital was nice, and a few white doves flew across the square. Feeling a bit of a chill, I decided it was better to head back to my room. As I turned to leave, a few whispered words carried by the wind stopped me in my tracks. I heard that William, who's been all the rage lately, has a girlfriend who's pregnant. Someone just saw them entering the obstetrics and gynecology department. I felt unsteady on my feet, and even the nurse beside me heard it and couldn't resist making a joke. That guy sure moves fast. It's only been half a month since the end of August, and his wife is already pregnant. Obviously, they were together before he even returned to the country, putting on a show for everyone. How fake. I wasn't sure if it was anger or something else, but a wave of nausea hit me. Sir, are you all right? Please, help me to the obstetrics department. I want to see something. Didn't expect you to be so curious. Sir, I didn't respond, and we walked in silence the rest of the way. From a distance, I saw a familiar figure, my wife's figure, one I would never mistake. At that moment, William was crouching beside Mary, his head pressed gently against her stomach. The two of them exchanged smiles, and the air was thick with the sickly sweet scent of love. That stench of love made me feel nauseated. Since Mary and I got married, she had always been reluctant about our intimate moments and even insisted on living a child-free life. I thought she was afraid of the pain, and I was willing to respect her wishes, but it turns out she just didn't want to be with me. She just didn't want to have a child with me. My stomach started to cramp, and I bent over, gasping for breath. "Sir, are you okay, sir?" The nurse's voice was loud, drawing the attention of everyone around us, including Mary. Her expression was one of shock, as if she couldn't understand why I was here. The nurse helped me to the nearest bench, and I asked him to bring Mary over. I wanted to go to her myself, but that place was for welcoming new life. They were the future of this world. They shouldn't have to see someone as useless as me or hear about such filthy things. I leaned back against the cold wall, watching Mary gently caress her abdomen as she slowly walked towards me. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" "You mean the gentleman? He's in the late stages of stomach cancer." The nurse, a young man who spoke bluntly, assumed Mary was William's girlfriend and didn't think she had any connection to me. "Ethan, what's going on?" Mary's voice was hoarse, tinged with a bit of a sob. "What's going on?" I wasn't entirely sure myself. After we got married, Mary stopped handing out flyers at the park entrance and said she wanted to be a stay-at-home wife. Even so, I never made her do any housework, turning her into a girl who had never lifted a finger. I wanted her to live a good life, so I worked hard, drinking and socializing endlessly. She loved luxury goods, and when she bought them, she never batted an eye. I climbed from an employee to the position of vice president, and my body gradually began to break down. But I knew it wasn't her fault. I would have worked hard even without her. I was just a bit sad, feeling it wasn't worth it. If she didn't like me, why did she accept my proposal in the first place? And if she accepted, why couldn't she be faithful to our marriage? Why choose to cheat? "I told you before, I have stomach cancer. I'm going to die soon." Chapter 6. The doctor advised me to stay calm and avoid any strong emotional fluctuations. Maybe I was truly overwhelmed because the pain in my stomach twisted violently, and my teeth bit down so hard that they broke the skin of my lips. Finally, amidst Mary's desperate calls, I lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my hospital room. Instinctively, I wanted to ask the nurse for a glass of water, but I noticed that the person sitting beside me was Mary. It had been over a month since we last saw each other, and seeing her now felt like a lifetime had passed. She held a cup of water and offered it to me, but I couldn't sit up to drink it. The nurse quickly arrived and placed a straw in the cup. Mary looked a bit embarrassed, no surprise, as she had never taken care of anyone before. "Honey, I'm sorry, it's all my fault." I shook my head, not understanding why she suddenly switched back to calling me honey, but I didn't want to hear it anymore. "Mary, let's get a divorce. From now on, just call me by my name." Mary's eyes filled with tears, and she began to sob softly, shaking her head repeatedly. "No, I don't want a divorce. Let's not divorce, please." I couldn't understand what she was holding on to. Wasn't her beloved unforgettable first love already back? Why wouldn't she let me go? "Mary, you're pregnant, aren't you? Whose child is it?" I looked at her sharply, staring intently at Mary's face as her eyes darted around. "It's William's, isn't it? Laura has been on a business trip this month. What breakup were you supposedly comforting her for?" I was getting emotional, yelling to vent the grievances and dissatisfaction that had been festering inside me. "Mary, I saw that photo in the study. He's your unforgettable first love, the one you've been waiting for. I don't care that you deceived me. Now that he's back and you're carrying his child, why can't you just let me go?" My heart raced, making my stomach churn with waves of nausea. Mary covered her face with both hands, and large teardrops slipped through her fingers, but my sharp eyes noticed the blisters on her hands, marks left by splattering oil while cooking. My heart grew colder. I had never let her into the kitchen. In our 7 years together, she had never cooked a meal for me. The girl I had loved and spoiled had turned around and cooked for someone else. In the end, I wasn't worth it. "Honey, I really never thought about divorcing you." Mary kept repeating that sentence, but to my ears, it was like nails on a chalkboard. I couldn't help but roar like a madman, pounding my fists against the bed frame. She doesn't want a divorce, so what does she want? To have her cake and eat it too. A husband who takes care of her every need on one side and her unforgettable first love to keep her happy on the other. How bold she must be to say such things. At that moment, William burst in, cradling the sobbing Mary in his arms, his eyes filled with hostility as he looked at me. "Ethan, right, do you know that Mary is pregnant and can't have any emotional stress? Are you deliberately trying to make her suffer?" I couldn't comprehend how William could say such things with such self-righteousness. "Mary is my wife, and she's carrying your child. Now I'm dying, who's asking if I'm okay?" "William, as long as I'm alive, you will always be the third wheel." Even though I was determined to divorce, I couldn't resist a sharp retort. Seeing the growing anger on his face brought a small measure of satisfaction to my otherwise miserable state. Mary nestled into William's arms, burying her head in his chest. They really were a well-matched couple. Mary will divorce you soon. William left those words hanging in the air, and I genuinely hoped she would divorce me right away. But I had a feeling that with someone like her, I wouldn't be rid of her even in death. After the two of them left, the room fell silent. The nurse looked at me, clearly shocked. Sir, I never imagined that someone who looked so decent could act so despicably. What a pair of scoundrels. His words, spoken in defense of me, brought a slight warmth to my heart, knowing there was at least one person on my side. Chapter 7. Something unexpected happened. The incident that occurred at the hospital was recorded by someone and uploaded to the internet. It quickly became a hot topic, sparking widespread discussion. William was labeled as the homewrecker, and his relationship with Mary was dragged through the mud. The comments section was filled with insults, calling them scumbag and cheating couple, with people cursing them with the harshest words. People at the company also saw the video and soon learned about my stomach cancer. They stood up for me, using their social media accounts to voice their support. I'm one of Ethan's subordinates. Our boss works himself to the bone, drinking and socializing, and ended up with stomach cancer just to earn money to support Mary. Her cheating is just inhumane. Mr. Liu is diligent and truly loves his wife. It's hard to believe that such a good person could be betrayed like this. Mr. Liu even prepared a Qixi festival gift for Mary the other day. Mary truly has no heart. As I read through these comments, I didn't know whether to feel sad or happy. I was, of course, glad that they spoke up for me, but their words hit right where it hurt, making it clear to the whole world that I was nothing more than a simp. Yet, the final outcome was favorable. William and Mary, once the envy of everyone as a legendary couple, had now become the targets of public scorn. Some even created a timeline documenting their affair, gathering evidence of their infidelity. I didn't have the energy to do any of that, nor did I want to be involved. William was the first to approach me, hoping I would help clear his name by claiming that I had already divorced Mary. He truly was shameless, stealing my wife and then expecting me to willingly take the fall as the ex-husband. What a dream. I do want to get divorced. Why don't you get Mary to agree already? You pestering me won't help. You're not the one divorcing me. I lay in my hospital bed, feeling more at ease than I had in a long time. William's expression was off. It seemed he and Mary were already having issues. He wanted to say more, even resorting to trying to intimidate me. But before he could make a move, my colleagues, who had come to visit, stepped in and stopped him. They were all holding back their anger. Over the years, they had witnessed how I treated Mary. Now, not only did I have stomach cancer, but I had also been cheated on. They were on my side and couldn't swallow this injustice either. There were quite a few of them, and what was once a spacious hospital room now felt crowded. A few of the younger, more hot-headed ones couldn't hold back and threw a few punches at William, teaching him a lesson. William had no choice but to leave in disgrace. The news of my resignation couldn't be kept from them after all, and that young, sentimental girl was now crying her eyes out. As a patient, I found myself constantly comforting them. It might sound odd, but I was enjoying myself. They made me feel like I had a family. Chapter 8. The situation online escalated quickly, and many media outlets, along with independent journalists, soon found out which hospital I was staying at. They rushed in, eager to get a scoop, but I was too weak to drive them away. Mr. Ethan, when did you first discover that Mary was cheating? Mr. Ethan, what are your thoughts on William? Mr. Ethan, how do you plan to punish the two of them? Their barrage of questions made my head spin, worsening my already exhausted state. These people were so desperate for headlines that they stooped to harassing a terminally ill cancer patient. At that moment, a faint female voice came from behind the crowd. It was Mary. The moment they noticed her, all the cameras swung around, cornering Mary. I watched as her pale face grew weaker, almost fainting. Surrounded by flashing lights, she could only cling helplessly to the wall. Thankfully, the nurse arrived in time, and the security guards escorted everyone out. I never imagined that Mary would become so ruthless, but not toward me, toward the child in her womb. When she appeared before me again, her abdomen was flat, and her face was haggard. Honey, I've aborted the child. Can we not divorce? Her weak face managed a faint smile, with a fragile beauty about it, but I couldn't understand. Wasn't this the child she had longed for over 7 years? Why would she abort it? Mary, it's no use. We should divorce. Honey, I didn't mean to deceive you. I was afraid you'd misunderstand. That day when William returned, I was really happy. I had a bit too much to drink, and we ended up sleeping together. I was blinded by my childhood love, but when I found out you were sick, I couldn't stop imagining the pain of losing you. That pain was unbearable. I realized I had already fallen in love with you, but I didn't know it. Mary spoke passionately, placing all the blame on a drunken mistake, on love that she didn't realize she had. But if the first time was a mistake, What about the entire following month? If she hadn't discovered that I was terminally ill, would she have never realized she loved me? How hypocritical. I said all of this to Mary, leaving her speechless, stuttering as she tried to argue but couldn't find the words. Honey, I went home yesterday, and I saw the Chishi festival gift you left for me on the nightstand. You still love me. So, she saw the gift. Maybe I did love you then, but I don't anymore. Mary's eyes gradually dimmed, but no matter what I said, she was still determined not to divorce me. Mary, I don't want to see you. The love I had for her had long been worn away by her lies and betrayals, leaving nothing behind. She shook her head desperately, trying to throw herself into my arms as she used to, but I coldly dodged her advance. I wanted to send her away, but she insisted on staying to take care of me. This only made me more irritated. She had never taken care of anyone, and she had just had an abortion, leaving her body weak. What was she trying to prove by staying here? Outside, the leaves were already turning yellow, scattered by the autumn wind, drifting everywhere. Just like me, lonely and broken, with my body in pieces. This was no longer the height of summer. It was no longer the summer that lived in my heart. The nurse was openly hostile toward Mary, often going out of his way to make things difficult for her. But Mary endured it all, which surprised me. I was also puzzled that she had been here for 3 days and yet William hadn't come looking for her. As they say, a woman's heart is as unpredictable as the depths of the ocean. Chapter 9. On the 5th day, William hobbled into my hospital room, wearing a patient's gown and walking with a limp. I was surprised to see him. When he saw Mary diligently attending to me, his anger flared up. He grabbed Mary by the collar, ready to start a fight in the hospital room, but the nurse quickly intervened to stop him. Mary, you have no heart. You took advantage of me being drunk, tied me up, and if it weren't for a paparazzo sneaking in this morning and finding me, I would have starved to death at home. This was a lot to take in. I observed Mary's expression and noticed a trace of resentment. Why didn't I just let you starve to death? My husband is here fighting cancer, and you don't deserve to have it easy. William's eyes were filled with disbelief. His eyes reddened, and he punched the wall of the hospital in frustration, venting his anger. What did you just say? I went abroad for 7 years for you, enduring endless scorn, finally succeeding, and this is how you repay me? Mary, unable to control her emotions, pushed William hard, looking almost deranged. You did that for yourself. I begged you back then, begged you to take me with you, but you said I was a burden. Now, 7 years have passed. I've been married and fallen in love with my husband. Why have you come back to disturb my life? I couldn't listen to this any longer. These two were just passing the blame back and forth, never recognizing their own mistakes. Maybe it's true that I don't love her anymore because my heart didn't even flinch, but I couldn't stay here any longer. The chemotherapy was already painful enough, and with them disturbing me, it made me feel like I couldn't even die in peace. When William found out that Mary had aborted the child, he immediately became despondent, collapsing onto the floor. Perhaps that had been his last hope, now completely shattered. Mary, one hand on the table and the other on her abdomen, suddenly started laughing. She laughed until tears streamed down her face, her eyes filled with a twisted sense of satisfaction. They were both mad. The noise grew so loud that a nurse came to check and scolded them, bringing the farce to an end. But for me, it was time to leave. I asked the nurse to process my discharge papers, and while Mary was out buying food, I quickly left the hospital. The nurse told me I shouldn't do this, but it didn't matter anymore. I didn't want to continue the treatment. I figured I'd spend the time I had left exploring the beautiful landscapes of my country. The nurse, who was a fresh graduate, agreed to come with me when I asked if he wanted to join. And so, the two of us set off on a journey. We made it to Tiananmen Square just in time for the National Day flag-raising ceremony, which filled me with pride. I originally planned to climb Xiangshan to see the red leaves, but my body couldn't handle it, so I just rested at the foot of the mountain. We then headed to the seaside, where the sight of the deep blue ocean gradually brought peace to my mind. Next, we went to Yunnan, where we marveled at the grandeur of Tsongshan and Erai. In Lijiang Old Town, we rented a small inn to stay in, but my health was rapidly declining, forcing me to stop and rest. One evening, I received a call from a colleague. When I answered, I was surprised to hear Mary's voice on the other end. Honey, we're not going to get divorced, right? I didn't respond because none of this mattered to me anymore. I had no intention of continuing this entanglement. After all, I was going to die soon. Honey, I'll give you an explanation. With that, she hung up. It wasn't until the next day when the nurse rushed in, panic in his voice, showing me his phone with the news. Only then did I understand what Mary meant by an explanation. William was dead. Chapter 10. The news reported that the renowned pianist William was found dead in his villa, apparently due to a gas leak that caused an explosion. By the time his body was discovered, it was burned beyond recognition, his face completely disfigured. It's easy to imagine the immense pain he must have endured before he died. Soon after, Another piece of news shot to the top of the trending list. Mary had jumped to her death from the hospital rooftop. I was unexpectedly calm, only mildly surprised. I didn't expect them to die before I did. This was merely the consequence of their own actions. My colleagues at the company called me one after another, especially the colleague who had lent Mary his phone that day. He felt guilty, thinking he shouldn't have given Mary his phone. I reassured him that it was okay, that they brought this upon themselves. However, Shaoli was indignant, saying several times, they deserved it, which made me chuckle a little. They wanted to come see me, but I was already at the end of my rope. Their visit would only add to the sorrow. I didn't want to endure any more goodbyes. 7 summers ago, my mother passed away, also from stomach cancer. Perhaps I should have seen my own fate coming. I gave a portion of my savings to the nurse. It was his payment for accompanying me through the final stretch of my life. After all these years of saving, I realized that the amount was quite substantial. The rest, along with my other assets, I donated to charity. I hope they can use the money to save others like me who are tormented by illness. Finally, on a quiet night, I saw my mother's silhouette. She told me I had suffered enough. I suddenly remembered that I should have left a large sum of money for the owner of the inn. I was probably going to die here, and my death would leave a trace of misfortune on his property. After settling everything, I lay quietly on the bed, gazing at the bright moon in the sky, and then, I closed my eyes forever.